Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in. You're about to watch a recording of last night's very first Townhall meeting on the Ambassador program. We have reached about 20 people during the meeting, so special thanks to those who did join live. It was good to learn about the expectations of the community. For example, there's those who simply want tasks to choose from and deliver on, and there's those interested in helping out on the design of the program. I do think it's really important to provide a lot of room for input on this. But last night's meeting had quite a bit of focus on the design and ideation part. So I will get a work group going on that, and those interested can reach out. But for next week's meeting, we'll be a bit more concrete. We'll do live polling, for example, on decision making, and we'll start the initial distribution of tasks. So I hope you enjoyed the recording. There's a feedback form in the description below, and I hope to see you next week. Thank you. Thanks for joining. We'll wait a little bit longer for seeing who else joins. Welcome Brian, Agusi, Architect of Neurowork, Ayman, Grandano, Crypto AI News,
Elon
Dusk, Hatches, Ian, Jan, Lion, Rainer, and Wotan 4000. There's with Evo. Thanks for joining. Alright, I think it's time to go. There's Mac Faraday joining. Welcome. Alright, I think it's time. Welcome, and
Great.
Once again, thank you all for joining at the very first kickoff town hall meeting for the SingularityNET Community Ambassador Program. I prepared a little presentation, just as a bit of a guidance for this town hall meeting. Let's get going. Made a bit of an agenda for today. First, starting off with a little welcome word and introduction of what we're going to do. Provide a little overview of the Ambassador program so far and what the idea is. And then a couple of topics which we can discuss with the group, being the roles and tasks and potential work groups we could start. And I want to talk a bit about the rewards, which is, it's an interesting part of it. And we'll close off with an open round for open contributions. I'll start off with the overview. It's a bit of a gimmicky line, but I put it there anyway. This tagline of for the community, by the community. That's something that resonates really strong with myself and I hopefully with others. That's going to be, as far as I'm concerned right now, it's the core of what the Ambassador program aims to do. Spreading the word on SingularityNET and being very, very open for community input. The ambassadors, the way I see it, should help shaping the program. So there will be tons of room for input on the design of the program. And we'll have to see how much of that room is taken and where there's perhaps a need for some more structure. We'll see. Then I thought it would be nice to start off with some values and goals. Like this transparency is really, to me, key. Like this meeting is recorded for the record. So quickly turn off your camera if you don't want to be on, but it's too late already. Basically, all the meetings for the Ambassador program I want to have publicly available, and so anybody who's interested can later on join up and watch back, read back meeting notes. All the decision making, I want to be as transparent as possible. And on the goal side, I already mentioned, bottom line, the goal is to spread the word on SingularityNET and everything we're doing. And I'll move to a bit of an overview of the current outlines of the Ambassador program. We'll start off with a pilot phase during Q2, Q3. And this means that likely we will be scaling up over time. So a lot depends on the input that we get from you guys, from the community, from the ambassadors. And during the startup period, which is about 4.5 months right now, close to that, I think it's best to approach it as a pilot, having a lot of room for changing things completely over. If something we're doing doesn't work, just get rid of it and try something else. Then something which we can discuss is like what kind of information do we want from interested people. I made a little form on the blog post. Let's see. I think it got an amazing amount of responses. I was really happily surprised. It's at 157 people who indicated they have interest in some shape or form, that they want to help out. It's a bit of a relief that we're currently not in this room with 160, 150 people, because there will be utter chaos probably. But there's a lot of interest, and yeah, that was really good to see. And we do need a little bit more of a little bit more information together, because it was a very basic interest form I made. For example, the content creation part, it just listed a bunch of things together. Fleshing that out a little bit more would be good. So we know, like, for example, anybody interested in doing video, they don't have to... most of the people are only interested in a couple of the content types. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think we do have to discuss a little bit what kind of information do we collect, and that information will also be publicly available, I think. That's, I guess, up for discussion. I can imagine that everybody wants his email address, for example, out there on the internet. Then after that, I think we should talk a little about what roles there potentially can be, what tasks people can do as an ambassador, potential work groups that can be formed, and then we'll move over to the rewards. And yeah, discuss a little bit how we deal with the concept of rewards, because I want it to be as decentralized as possible, where basically where basically I want it all out there in the open, and that people, if they see a task, they can just see it, do it, submit it, get it checked, and then it's done, and the reward follows. But that needs some procedures in place to make that happen.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yeah, you can.
Is this ambassador program related to, in like general SingularityNET pilot, or it's somewhat intertwined with the deep funding, because there was also opportunity to kind of help or take tasks or even put up projects which helps SingularityNET forward?
Well, I would say they're separate. At the same time, they're very intertwined on the goals and the approaches. It's more on a values and approach side of things. I would say they're really separate. But both of them, I personally see as a way of experimenting with progressive decentralization and transparency, and that whole approach. But the rewards, for example, are strictly separate from deep funding. I could see a future where maybe as an ambassador program we could apply for some deep funding, but yeah, it's separate. I could have a little check-in on Jan to see if Jan agrees.
Well, there are some rules for deep funding, and the main rule is that you have to help grow the platform. So yeah, there would be an opportunity if you would have an initiative that would help grow the platform, and yeah, you would need you have some very specific thing in mind, and you would need some funding. Yeah, then why not? I mean, the fact it can even be 2 or 3 of you. If you have a good idea, then you could apply for deep funding just like anybody else. But the main thing is it should help the platform grow, and I think the goals and purpose of the ambassador program is a little bit more wide than that one, right?
Yeah, I agree, thanks. We will help the platform grow indirectly, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, we all help each other, and we all help SingularityNET and the whole ecosystem if possible. So that's also why I'm here. I'm really interested in the governance and in decentralization of everything related to SingularityNET. So yeah, I think this is yet another great initiative, and I hope we can learn from each other. I hope that deep funding can learn a little bit from the ambassador program and the other way around.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. I'm something my legs.
Oh, all right. Let's see. Yeah, let's move to the nitty-gritty details already. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of information we can collect on potential ambassadors. At the same time, I do think it's important to keep things as simple as possible and not to create bureaucracy where there is no need for it. If there's use for it, sure, we can have systems in place. That's only good. But I would like to keep things as simple as possible, yet still functioning. I noted down a couple of things which makes sense to have as background information. So in light of decentralization, if there's people interested in fleshing out this side of the project, like what to gather and building a system for that, it can be relatively simple. You can just make a Google form and that's it. Or perhaps somebody has experience with an alternative system which would be perfect for the job. That would be very welcome. It's also completely fine. It's up for discussion. Like, when you see this information, do you think like, oh, this makes sense to collect, or do you think, why would they even need this information? Just don't collect anything on me. If anybody has some opinions to share, by all means.
It is interesting. What should the program, maybe administrators or background know about a person, so that we can link who you are and your email address and your, rewards wallet, just to verify that one person is doing a specific job versus, what needs to be public facing, like, a username for a ambassador site or something. It's a really good question. Thanks, Peter.
I feel in a way that I would like to have a publicly available list of ambassadors, and that does come with a bit of a trade-off, like on privacy. So, for example, like I mentioned earlier, I can imagine not everybody wants his or her email address publicly available. You could use a secondary email, of course, as a workaround. But when it's, for example, portfolio, when that's part of the information that's listed, it will be an identifier. It's just some considerations, like if everybody's just like whatever, just give me a form, I'll fill it. We can do that, no problem.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should maybe we can put together a poll and some get some feedback on everybody's thoughts and feelings there. But yeah, having a public list of ambassadors is a great way to show people, kind of like the admins, who's official and who they can get a hold of and talk about the program and work with and really shows the passion of the community. It's cool.
Yeah, I would say it can be a benefit, right? If you have done a number of assignments for the ambassador program, it can add to your own portfolio or your own CV or whatever, if you can make that visible. And of course, also the reason for doing it is that we want to make sure that we have the right people on the right job, so that each of you can do what you are best at and probably also most enjoy. And the other part of it is that we want to have the highest quality possible. But maybe there's sometimes a trade-off where we also want to give new people an opportunity and a chance and try something out. So those are the things I think we need to balance here. So don't be afraid to speak up, people. It's just a small group here. Never mind that the rest of the world will be looking at the recording later. Don't be shy and just have, feel free to have an open discussion and let your voice heard. We will appreciate your opinion. This is an attempt to be completely decentralized after all.
Must honestly say that the first time in here, and I was just checking it out, I do love the project, and of course Ben himself, a special character with deep intelligence on all kinds of topics. So yeah, not much to add there. Hope I can be of more use in the near future. But keep up the good work, I would say.
Thank you. Nice to have you here. Welcome.
Hi, architect of NeuroWork here. I agree that it's a very good idea to have a formal list or a formal set of persons that newcomers can approach and maybe be guided and feel comfortable to contact. Yeah, that's a very good idea to make it formal, even if the word formal maybe is a little bit boring. But this idea to make it formal, I believe that is a good way to go. Just that.
Thank you. Let's flip it around. Like, would there be objections of specific information which is currently on screen on the slide, which you would not want to have on a public sheet if you're an ambassador? Perfect. It's done.
Yeah, I think I would be very careful with email addresses out there. If there would be another way to contact people, that would be fine. But yeah, I would be careful there.
Yeah, and I'm sure we all have like social media accounts, so just connecting the handle to the Twitter account or Instagram account of the ambassador is probably the best way for people to reach them.
Yeah, and that also makes it very low level, right? Very easy to communicate to people and to actually have a dialogue.
Yeah, you don't have to start going to email to send a message or send a text. You can just do it from the same app that you're on already.
Yeah,
Sure.
makes sense. I think, yeah, we would expect every ambassador to be on either Discord or Telegram. Peter, is there any expectation on your side?
I wouldn't really force people to, if they're only on Telegram, to say they have to join Discord or the other way around. It would be useful if everybody's at the same space, of course. That's for sure. I imagine if we do meetings like this, which is not set in stone, like if everybody feels like, we should do a Twitter space, we can. That's all up for input. But right now we're forcing people into Discord by being on here. And yeah, so far I didn't make a Telegram channel for ambassador related stuff. It might be best to just skip that for now and keep it on the Discord. But it's a bit of, like, if you would ask this on Telegram, the answer might be the other way around, of course. So,
are there any people here who just came to Discord because of this session here and are usually on Telegram? Or all hardcore Discord lovers here?
Well, I was gonna say, why don't we do like Twitter Spaces?
Yeah, we can. Absolutely possible. It doesn't have video, which is, a bit of a downside.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. But I was just gonna say,
I would.
more people have Twitter, I think, than both the Discord and Telegram combined.
There's lots of opportunities to change it up too. This is nice for this video, for this initial intro to work our way through some slides, but some voice-only meetings on Twitter would absolutely be a possibility too.
I think so too. Yeah, in a way, like, we would also, I think it would be good to have the meeting time shift over the 24-hour schedule, so we can cater to like worldwide audience. Maybe we can do the same with channels or medium, let's say. That gets a bit messy if we like switch every week from Twitter Space to Telegram Live to whatever Discord. Some consistency would be better, I think.
Yeah, that I definitely agree with. We should definitely have it every single week on one channel. Like, we don't keep changing it up. Just so more people, like, they know exactly where to go. It avoids confusion. You don't have to tell people, oh, go here, go there. This week is there. This week is at this place. So yeah, it's much better.
True. That makes sense.
This is already a selected group, right? You already ahead of the rest, so I think we can have some expectations there, and shouldn't be too much of a hurdle. I mean, if you're enlisting yourself to become an ambassador and to help SingularityNET and to do stuff, then yeah, I would say that the choice of channels shouldn't be too much of a hurdle. Unless there are real serious practical issues with some of the channels, or a channel in a certain country or whatever.
All right. Yeah, fair. It seems like the next meeting will be on Discord for now. But I wouldn't be against having some kind of polling. Then we would need to poll on all platforms to make sure. Yeah, it's a hassle. I'm sure we can figure that one out.
Yeah, my personal feeling is that we don't need to put up every decision to a vote before we do anything, because then we will never accomplish anything probably. But we can try things out, and then after a while ask people, is this okay with you, or would you prefer it a different way? Or, and I would, if I may be so frank, I think we would also expect you to come forward, to step forward if you have a better idea, unsolicited, on any topic or subject, if you want to have anything changed. And in that case, yeah, anything would be open for change, because this ambassador program in the end is your program, right? But it doesn't need to stop us from just making ad hoc decisions to move forward, and then later on having a vote on it if that's necessary. Does that make sense?
It does. I also dropped one suggestion in the event chat regarding Zoom calls. I'm coming from Cardano community, and over iterations that their town halls also moved into Zoom, and I think that was has been like the best solution so far. But again, we stopped innovating there. Maybe there are other platforms. Internally try different ones, but they stick to the Zoom.
Yeah, we can definitely do Zoom. That's perfectly fine by me. I think it should support up to 300 people, so yeah, we have some leeway.
Holds up to 100 people with a small budget, but when you want like huger audience, you can have to pay more. Zoom.
Yeah, that should be good. So basically, yeah, there's options. Tricky to pinpoint what would be the best for, let's say, for example, the next meeting. Would we do it here? Would we try a Zoom? Any other platform? Yeah, that's.
We can send out some coordination and make plans.
Yeah, also feel free to give your opinion on this after the call if you have some additional thoughts on it, and just put it in Discord here in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. I had quite a couple of people messaging me like last minute, like, oh, I'm not able to make it for reason X, but they are interested, and I'm pretty sure they would also like to be involved in decision making. So yeah, we definitely need some setup for asynchronous decision making. All right, enough on this topic. Let's the next. Yeah, I figured partially because of the bit of a pilot approach of starting the ambassador program, it would be good to have like a somewhat limited list of potential roles and tasks people can do. At the same time, if you've got a good suggestion, that's perfectly welcome. Like I'm not saying like there can only be like what's currently on screen. And yeah, this feels like a bit of the in a way pretty standard basic roles and tasks, being content creation, whether it's text, video, audio, or graphics, translation of text usually, the amplification of messaging, like sharing on social media. I think we could apply some rewards to that. And there's social media channels which require moderation, and we have this currently. We've got a group of administrators, and in a way, they are our current ambassadors. Like they're everywhere on Telegram. If you ask a question, usually somebody pops up to help out. Same on Discord, and yeah, so in a way, they are currently our ambassadors, and I feel that's. Yeah, it's a very important function, and I think it's a perfect fit for the ambassador program. And yeah, and suggestions. I really want to be very open to suggestions on what people like to contribute. As Jan said earlier, like the stuff you're best at and enjoy to do. If we can provide a framework for facilitating that. I think that's the strongest, and we'll get the best results for everybody.
The first impression I get is that ambassador program is meant for outreach. Is that correct, or there is opportunity for like internal coordination and creation, which doesn't really amplify, but it gives the opportunity for like facilitation, moderation, and project management basically.
And when you say internal, do you mean internal in the ambassador program or internal in SingularityNET?
Both. And when I'm talking about Singularity, I mean like, for example, using existing platforms like this Discord, so we don't amplify it because it doesn't go, like I'm not using my own network to get this out there in the world because I don't have that kind of following. But I'm creating, like, let's say events, or I see, taking again an example of funding, because that's how I kind of got introduced to this active community, that taking a proposal from there and then spinning off like, hey, who wants to meet and get the like meeting discussion, here is agenda, what we could talk, and creating that kind of facilitation meeting. And that would be like one part which is somewhat related to content creation, but it's, I don't know, it has a different meaning when I read this kind of slide. I get the expectation that we want to outreach people who are not yet in SingularityNET to see inside what is happening here and onboarding.
Yeah, well, so first of all, this is just a short list I put on there. This is not set in stone. This is not, it's all up for input. And I agree with what you're saying. I would say, yeah, by definition, an ambassador is somebody, in my mind at least, who like spreads the word, and in that way, yeah, you get to outreach pretty quickly. But the type of activities you described, like this organizing of events, that would be a perfect addition to this list. I had some live events in this. I think in the blog post in this list was also mention of live events, like hosting a local SingularityNET meetup, for example. Well, that's still outreach, I guess.
Yeah, basically the hard question is like, yes, internal in a sense that it doesn't involve new people, but already kind of like creates connections with existing people.
Yeah, I think strengthening the current existing community, that's also very welcome. It shouldn't be in that way only outreach. I think if you have some nice initiative for community members, yeah, to me that's perfectly welcome.
I think there's a big opportunity here to create some of that internal external permeability that is so important to SingularityNET as well. I know that a lot of the there's been some focus on creating more permeability between the organization, the community, because we are all one, right? So, for instance, bringing some developer ambassadors into the AI DSL process, so that they're part of designing that and giving feedback on what would be most useful and valuable and how that should work or operate, and getting used to it so that when it is live, that it can be capitalized on, would be incredibly valuable. And I see that potential also for the other spin-off projects, bringing community perspective into, the Rejuve project, for instance, might be a possibility. So that we get the community's perspective on what's exciting about Rejuve and, what the community would like to see Rejuve become, and then getting these ambassadors getting to not only share community perspective with the project, but also share, what's happening in Rejuve, back with the community, bring that two-way communication in a larger space between both aspects, so that we can begin the process of this decentralization, where the community is starting to take on bigger roles within SingularityNET itself.
Yeah, so summarizing, there's not really any limits, I think. Is that accurate?
I think the key maybe is also taking initiative. So if we want the ambassador program to be successful, I think we all need to take initiative. I think that's the best route to success, because if the ambassador program means that we or Peter assigning tickets to people or assigning tasks to people and then having it done and give a little bit of AGIX or whatever, that doesn't feel like real dynamic. But if you are passionate about something and then you make a proposal, let's do this or do that, and I'll give you some examples. It's not that long ago that I was just that I was a community member, a little bit more than a year ago. And at that point, I also just took initiative. And I can remember, for instance, I made a long infographic, an animated infographic about the AI platform, because I wanted to wrap my own thoughts around it and have a better understanding of it. And then I thought, well, if I do that properly, maybe I can motivate the team to do something with it and then put it out there. And actually we did use some of it, but not in exactly the way that I meant it at that time, because time, etc. But in the context that we are here, the chances, if you put forward an initiative of having it completed and accomplished, are much better, I would say. And I think those kind of projects that are initiated by you, very likely those are the best, because that is something that you care about and that is something that aligns to your interests and to your capabilities. So yeah, speaking for you here, Peter, but I think I would be very enthusiastic and interested to hear what you want to do and what you think this program is about, and what kind of initiative you would love to do in the context and for SingularityNET and to help SingularityNET forward.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Sorry for not interacting sooner. I was in the middle of dinner, but it's interesting to listen to, and some thoughts that are pairing. Just to use myself as an example, I've been following the SingularityNET community project since about 2020. Myself, I don't have a background in computer science or any of the technical relevant fields, but of course philosophical and sort of the vision is very clear, and I think something that feels different on Discord than say Telegram is the level of the shared vision, perhaps more than the pump and dump crypto Moonboy sort of characters, and I think for me, lacking some of the more sort of technical background, what I'm missing and what I'm sort of getting from this is that to have more people perhaps discussing their understanding of the project ecosystem wise and further down to spin-off projects, and how sort of creating more of a mind map, sort of tying it all together. I guess you could have technical and then sort of less technical explanations of it all, even though following Medium posts and different updates from the team and other people on YouTube, wherever, it might at times become more feels more distant. So I'm just thinking how I understand this now and sort of how you envision it, is that it's slowly but organically grows into sort of a more community driven first, and then more organically growing for outsiders to join as well. That's just some thoughts on the top of my head. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That sounds accurate. Yeah, something like a mind map of the ecosystem would be pretty intriguing.
So
That is a daunting task, trust me. It may take years to even.
but I think to start like Twitter Spaces sounds very formal and sort of easy to drop into, and not necessarily doesn't carry as much pressure as perhaps Discord or any other sort of medium would have. I don't know.
So you feel Discord is a bit higher bar to join in on?
Yes. Well, I'm not that familiar with Discord. For me, I'm like a private person myself, but it's not that I have problems speaking up. But it's I just recently joined Twitter as well, mostly for just keeping up with whatever happens in the crypto space. But Twitter Spaces specifically seems less daunting to just jump in on, even if you just want to listen or lurk in the background and not necessarily contribute, say.
I would positively approve what I'm saying. That Twitter seems to have more participants, but the amount of these participants are also lurkers, so they don't say anything, they don't see anything, they don't give feedback. And I think one thing I would like us to keep an eye on is on platforms where the feedback is more circular, so that and I don't know, at least I haven't had the opportunity to find that many Twitter spaces on it that's specifically made for feedback or contribution capturing events. And Discord seems to be like more easier to curate and to funnel people into activity discussions or discussions in general, which create an outcome what is actionable.
Yeah, that makes me wonder if hosting a Zoom meeting would be that much different. Because to me, the main difference or the main feature of Twitter Spaces is that it's audio only. But then again, it's perfectly fine to join on Discord without the camera. So looking at the time, originally I scheduled this meeting for 1 hour, and we started 5 minutes late, but that is in 8 minutes already.
And 8 slides to go, right?
Yeah, I do think it's a good. It's good to keep the time a bit strict. I of course, don't mind if afterwards if people want to continue chilling, whatever. That's all good, no problem. But I do think it's just good to keep it to 1 hour initially. So in light of that, I'll hop to the next one because there's a couple more things I want to touch on. Well, as you can read on screen, I can see a future where there's a couple of work groups emerging of people sharing similar interests. For example, there's the idea of having a community-driven podcast on SingularityNET. Maybe this rings a bell for somebody? I think it does. Something like that, like a community podcast, as far as I'm seeing it right now, would be a perfect fit for a bit more focused work group. Yeah, I think right now, with also looking at the clock, it's best to not go super deep into this specific example, but that would be perfectly fine. For example, for those interested, to stay on after the meeting, and if there's a lot of like right now the audience isn't that big, but if it's a big audience, you can have like breakout rooms and all that jazz. And I think for now it would be perfectly fine to simply have it to stay on with those interested. But yeah, this is a very open-ended sheet, as it is completely open to ideas, suggestions, initiatives. If you feel like something in the back of my mind is like creating a proper wiki of everything SingularityNET, which gets updated once there's new stuff happening. Everything interlinked. Yeah, this is a huge project, but if you have a couple of people working on it, like a work group, it becomes manageable. Hopefully. It's still a daunting task, but yeah. So yeah, just wanted to touch on the possibility for work groups.
Just to clarify, can work groups include people who are not part of ambassador program, but it expects that at least one person in that group is?
Yeah, if there's productive work being done, I'm the last person to complain. Like, technically speaking, this person in that group, that's not an ambassador. Yeah, I'm pretty pragmatic there. I feel. If that makes sense. I mean, if the whole group would say no, we want to be strict on this, we can.
What is the definition of an ambassador? When are you or are you not an ambassador?
Good question.
Yeah, I assumed it's kind of something you get certified by, I don't know, SingularityNET, that you get into the list, and that's when you are. And if you're just doing outreach and onboarding, all of that stuff without being certified, you're a community member. So it's like status thing, a bit.
Interesting. So you expect a kind of certification. So not everybody who wants to become an ambassador automatically can be an ambassador.
Yeah, but I may be wrong, and maybe that's not the way. But yeah, I assume that would be something like that.
There's no such thing as right or wrong here. This is just us, all peers here, discussing what is the best way to set up this program. So if we feel there needs to be some kind of hurdle or threshold for people to become ambassador, yeah, maybe that makes a lot of sense. Of course, it also requires a little bit of work to set this up, right? To think about what kind of requirements we request. Do people need to answer a number of questions about SingularityNET, show their knowledge? Do we want to create a panel who will ask people about their knowledge? I don't know. A lot of options here, but yeah, it might be interesting. But that's another topic to think about, how we want to design that.
If there is some type of ambassador program, it could be modeled potentially after that of Ocean Protocol's ambassador program.
They're light years ahead of us. Yeah, fully agree. That's it's very impressive what they managed to set up, and also in light of transparency, openness. Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Crypti News, can you drop a link or say it again in event chat?
I'm a bit of a Discord noob, so I'm not really sure how to send a link, but you just type in Google like Ocean Protocol ambassadors.
I know Cardano also has an ambassador program.
Yes, Cardano has ambassadors, and there is now an ambassador guild also, created by community, approved by ambassadors and Cardano Foundation. But
Well, is that the proper link though? Because yeah, okay. They also have oceanambassadors.community as a like a platform really for the ambassadors. I think the community page on the website is a bit broader, but it also links to the ambassador program.
I have a question. For the ambassadors, should we be familiar with OpenCog?
Good question.
Definitely not a requirement, but if you specialize in it, that would be great.
I'll tell you a secret. Not everybody in SingularityNET knows all the details about OpenCog.
I would think not, to be honest with you.
That's why we need a podcast, community podcast.
Exactly. Yeah. Nice.
No, but OpenCog won't be No, it won't be a requirement to know full details on basically anything, I would say. If you have I would imagine if you have a bit of a overview of the ecosystem, then yeah, that's pretty quickly, I would say you qualify for. Well, I guess that's something to determine. Like, what would people need to know before they can qualify as an ambassador, whatever that exact qualification is?
Vision.
Can you hear me?
Calls.
Well,
Yes.
I think the only thing we have to be careful about is things like admin privileges. You can't just give an admin privileges to just anybody, because they could start banning people because they're really someone that wants to do something bad. But other than that, I think anyone who wants to be an ambassador to like spread the word about SingularityNET and everything, I don't see needing to restrict it at all. Just like they can sign up, and obviously, before you give admin privileges or anything, you have to screen and get to know them well enough to know they're not going to pull something.
I think regarding qualification, it's not so much that you need to be qualified to become ambassador, but you would need to be qualified to do certain tasks in the ambassador program. So if you would make a technical description of OpenCog Hyperon, yeah, that's not for everyone. On the other hand, if you are available to make a good illustration on a certain article or whatever, that is also very valuable, but it would have very different requirements. It would also have requirements. We maybe want to have some quality standards there as well. But you wouldn't need to know everything about OpenCog Hyperon. So I think the qualifications really differ related to the task. And I think there is a challenge for us to determine who and how we should determine who is up to what tasks and which task can be assigned to whom. Because maybe one of us thinks, maybe I think that I'm a great illustrator, but all of the others don't agree. So how do we handle that kind of situation?
Can imagine a positive feedback loop. I mean, it's not important if you're not the best in class, but if you're willing to pick up the task, or other people are more eager or better prepared for that task and are able to pick it over, then they should have the ability to do so, and the energy, positive feedback loops, I would say.
Yeah, I think that is actually very important, that we all together feel free to give each other constructive feedback without being afraid of insulting each other. If there's something that I've done, if I've written something, if I've designed something, if I've translated something or whatever, and there's somebody there who thinks I could have done a better job overall or at some parts, we should be absolutely open to constructive feedback, but it should always be constructive and respectful.
Yeah, indeed, and you could only learn from that and be a better version of yourself in the near future.
Yeah. That way we can all make each other better. That would be a great goal.
Hey Jan, I have a question for you, or Jan H. Do you work with Ben Gertzel?
Yes, in a way I do. Yeah, I don't talk to him every day, but yeah.
He seems.
So is that your question?
He seems larger than life. I don't know. I've watched all of his interviews, and I just can't believe a human is as intelligent as him. In a way, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give you my honest opinion there. I can't assess his intelligence in the depth of his knowledge. I'm not a mathematician. I'm not even a programmer. So it's very hard for me to assess the depth of his thought. But what I can do is assess the number of topics and the width and the breadth of the things that he has smart things to say about. And that is amazing. There's no topic that you can start that he doesn't have a clear-cut opinion on. And sometimes he drives us crazy with all the new ideas he has on a bi-weekly or monthly basis for a new product or a new project or something new to do. It's never a dull moment if you work with Ben Gertzel, I can guarantee you that.
I have a thought about what you said before giving some insights about Ben, which is always appreciated. But like to have some, not a contract, but like a document that sort of lists sort of the agreed upon elements or what it would mean to be an ambassador, which includes this about constructive feedback, etc., and sort of to have something that every ambassador would sort of sign as sort of a common understanding of the role, I guess.
Well, right now this is not in place, and I'm hoping, best case scenario, I would co-create this with interested ambassadors to be, let's say, or community members in this case. So yeah, definitely, if there's people who feel like, oh, this is something interesting and I want to help out with or have input on, that's very welcome.
Yeah, code of conduct would also make sense, right? Not even a contract, but this is how we expect ambassadors to behave to the rest of the community and outside. Also, so if there's any volunteers, this is your moment.
One initiative that could be valuable amongst one of the ambassadors could be to compile maybe a small test like that of oceanambassadors.io, something, 10-15 minutes that sets kind of a baseline of education about SingularityNET, just to put everyone on the same page. Also to set up a small educational barrier to wall out most of the trolls. That could kind of create some continuity for people starting out.
Fully agree.
Yeah, I would love that in a way, because as I'm now coming from the Cardano community and I'm following the cohort and learning Expo, I would love to get on track with Singularity as well. So we have that shared understanding and shared base knowledge that, of course, make right and so yeah, I love that image.
Well, I would say it's perfectly just as like a drafting or co-creating a code of conduct. I would be very open for input on getting a basic course together, or maybe course is not even the right word, but yeah, like you described, like having this basic level knowledge test. That would be very welcome. At the same time, if everybody feels like, just provide this, let's skip the whole co-creation part, also speak up and let that be known. Testing the waters a bit like, would be very welcome if people step up and take the initiative to help out on these kind of tasks.
I think it's also always very useful to have some sort of leader or someone that just makes decisions, and not to be afraid of just doing and not always asking for permission for, even though it is, a community effort and such. For one would not have for me, this whole experience, or even just this, is just sort of the first insight into what this would be. So ideas are flowing, but I'll say for next time, to have sort of a list for whenever the next meeting would be great, about as you had here, but perhaps more clear about the agenda, perhaps, and goals we would want to have reached before the end of the meeting.
Yeah, agreed and understood. It's a bit of a balance. I figured currently for this specific meeting at least, my approach was to have pretty much to have it as open as possible and providing more room for input than structure. But that's a bit of a balance that can be played with, of course, and yeah, would be completely fine providing structure. But I do also want to, provide this room for input so that people feel it's, the whole for the community by the community part.
It's understood and appreciated.
I'm very interested what the others think about that. Do you agree with Wotan 4000? Or do you appreciate what Peter is trying to accomplish and making you all part of the whole decision process? Or would you rather have some more direction and then give feedback?
I personally would rather have it like more directed, and like if you guys would just tell us, okay, this is the requirements you need to have to be an ambassador, you have to go through this process, and this is like how much you would get in reward, and this is what you can do. Like tell us what you can do and we'll just put you in the right place. Definitely that would be the best way. And like you said earlier, Jan, in the meeting, that we're all going to be ambassadors, like we should all be able to get on any social media platform and just get on there to meet. So like if SingularityNET, if the ambassador program, the leader, whoever it is, just tells us like, hey, be there this time at this date, we should all be there. And yeah.
I have a really quick question in regards to proof of reputation. The system. I was wondering who decides what's good reputation versus bad reputation.
The people who have the reputation.
I'm not involved in the development of that, but I know that it's an automated system. There's no one deciding it. It's an automated system in which it judges when an actor has been doing what it's supposed to, and then it gains reputation. If it does something wrong, then it loses reputation. At least that's my understanding of it.
Well, reputation system is a very wide thing, and it can be executed on different environments. So it would depend on the environment what you would deem to be positive or negative activity. So reputation system can be put underpinning AIs on our platform, or it could be used for people on Mindplex, or it could be used for services nodes on Hypercycle. And those are very different environments that would have very different requirements. So for every environment, you will decide what you think is positive for the platform and what is negative for the platform. And based on that, you would create a reputation score, and it would have a whole number of attributes, like how long have you been on the platform, for instance, how often have you been referred to, how many positive actions have you been engaged in, etc., etc., etc. And actually, a reputation would also potentially become important for the deep funding governance. So it's something that is also close to my heart.
Amazing answer.
But that's a whole different topic, and I think we can easily speak about that for half an hour or an hour. But let's not do that right now.
Yeah, I'll move to the next and pretty much last topic, which is pretty interesting topic. I figured I would add reputation as part of the rewards here, because in a way I feel if there's going to be an ecosystem-wide reputation system, surely being an ambassador could be a bit of a multiplier, albeit a small one perhaps, but there's a smiley behind it.
Before you jump into this slide, okay, actually you go ahead. It's already past an hour.
Yeah, I figured let's. I do want to properly touch on this topic of rewards, and then move towards wrapping up, and then those interested can stay on, no problem, of course. Yeah, basically, I mean, I can read what's on the screen. Basically, the Supervisory Council has allocated a portion of their phase 2 allocation to the ambassador program, which results in, broadly speaking, 750k AGIX tokens for the first year. And well, this would translate then to 62,500 every month. So this is a bit, yeah, in a way, it's a proper amount. I'm very grateful to the supervisory council for this. At the same time, it's not like we can get 10 FTE units going on and like provide jobs everywhere. It's not like that yet. But yeah, that's also something where there's this balance again. Like, do we provide a system, like a system for applying for specific tasks and roles, so you can just log in, see a list, click it, and go? Or do we provide a lot of openness for input on the design of these kind of systems? And I'm inclined to go for the latter option. At the same time, if everybody feels like, yeah, just provide something, and then we'll click and do the tasks, yeah, that's also an option, I guess.
Well, I think you should provide the tasks, and then if someone wants to go up and beyond and go out of their way to provide you with feedback and stuff that they think that you should do differently, they can always go ahead and do that on their own initiative.
Fair.
But maybe we misunderstood each other a little bit, Peter. I mean, I really appreciate for the community by the community. I was thinking now in the beginning to just, for example, just setting up the next meeting and to sort of have some structure around that. But as the ambassador role grows and develops, then you know, the ambassadors take more responsibility over the ambassador program.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, at the same time, I do want to emphasize that this room for taking initiative is very much there right now already. But I think that message got across quite okay.
So a working group in order to establish the forum for ambassadors he's up for now, because somebody mentioned that he's expecting to just follow the guidelines to get to be ambassador. And right now this session is about getting feedback. How would the ambassador look like? Right now I assume the feedback will go directly to you, Peter, and few working parties who are needed to do this pilot. But if it's possible, then at some point maybe make it public and that we could co-create it.
Absolutely, I fully agree there. And I guess it also differs per person, because I'm not super sure about you, but if I would estimate, you sound like a content creation kind of angle. Does that make sense?
Yes. I like to draw processes and kind of ask the easy questions, but then at least write them down that everybody can visualize it.
Well, I intended to ask Ayman specifically, Ayman Mufle. So apologies if that wasn't clear. Because
my bad, Peter. Can you ask a question again? I had someone speaking with me.
I was wondering, like, to me it sounds like you would be on the content creation side of things, where your interest is.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess I also had questions of like, how are we going to track performance? Like, what metric are we going to go by and stuff like that?
Well, you can guess the answer by now, probably, but that too is open for input.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely content creation side, just bringing people in, outreach, getting exposure to the name.
Believe me, there's no worries about exposure. The stuff developed is insane. Like, OpenCog is insane. This is gonna... I don't know.
Well, also we just gotta show it off a little bit. So just put it out in front of more eyes. Like, if people don't know that it even exists, then, you know, it's pointless, really, if they can't use it.
Completely disagree. It's gonna change the world soon. But...
Well, we'll see. I mean, I guess Tesla got to where they're at without marketing, so maybe SingularityNET could do the same thing. But definitely marketing is important. No one can disagree with that.
Oh, very true. Yeah, just more or less wrapping up, like this actual mechanic of like having a proper website, or it can be a Google Sheet. That would be a bit simpler, I reckon. Having the system in place for where ambassadors can look what's up for grabs on tasks or roles to fulfill, what we're actively looking for, or suggest what they would like to contribute. And then also having a system in place for once you deliver the task to, I would like some kind of review process in there where ambassadors check the work of other ambassadors before there's rewards being paid. So there's a bit of quality control in that way. But it seems for now to discuss the intricacies of systems like that is a bit much. Yeah, finishing the sheet. Like besides the token rewards, there's also going to be swag, like t-shirts, merchandise kind of items. And another thing is team access. For example, there will be people joining ambassador meetings, like I can't quite promise Ben, I guess, but like just people from within the organization are usually pretty happy to interact with the community. And the reputation I put on there more as a joke than as a real promise. Let's see. Are there any questions on this before wrapping up? Yeah, I figured for now, initially, having a meeting like this, hopefully with more and more concrete content and apparently a bit more structure. To start it off at a weekly base would be, I think, would be good. And if there at some point starts to be work groups for example, for a podcast or a wiki or whatever we come up with, that will kind of lead itself, I feel. Yeah.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
We can, yes.
I was going to say, I think it could be beneficial maybe for us to consider an incubation group where maybe it's a channel of people that are wanting to help start setting the structure of the ambassador program. The benefit to that could be if someone says they want to do like X, Y, or Z, and maybe you don't hear from them for like 2 or 3 weeks, you know they're probably not fit for an ambassador program. And on the contrary to that, if somebody says they're wanting to do X, Y, or Z and they come through with it, you start kind of building a good reputation where somebody could start proving themselves to become an ambassador and start helping set up the structure on everything and start helping guide the program.
Yeah. This would kind of touch the tasks I asked before. How internal can we go? Because this is an overhead in some sense, because it's all comes from community and somebody has to do the work then. But it adds a lot of value. And I think surveys, even for example, this town hall we had just now, even in Cardano Townhall we don't have it, but recently in one of the workshops I started doing surveys which take like 1 minute. You rate how did you feel, like you could voice your opinion 1 to 5, and did you understand what this session was about 1 to 5. And I had like questions like that, which is just easy to answer in 1 to 5. And when I put like the timeline together of all the sessions, I could clearly see what kind of worked, and maybe this group is small here and we're talking about forms, and maybe that's something we could start to use and to kind of add to the what Grandana mentioned, to create a structure and maybe even like ask questions about it. We created this channel. How do you feel about it? 1 to 5, and try to measure stuff the way I notice SingularityNET is doing. And in future we can use it for AI for them to create the sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd think of the future that, eventually you're going to get an ambassador that has work history doing forms like that for companies that would probably want to definitely do something like that. Or maybe somebody here that has history of doing things like that.
Creating forms. I do dislike to do them, but sometimes somebody has to do them.
I'm thinking if I think I can make a quick poll.
I guess I'm operating lazily lately, because now I usually copy-paste forms together than write them. Because there is already a lot of great stuff created.
Yeah, I've made just a very basic quick poll because I do really like this idea of having a quick check at the end. It's not obliged to fill in, of course.
So you were doing it right now, so that we could give feedback for this current.
Yes, that's a great idea, Phil. I'll paste it in the event chat, I guess. There's a directpoll.com link in there. All right, yeah, I'm thinking for next week. I'm inclined to say same place, same time, but in light of shifting around during the day for other time zones, that might not be optimal. I think the ambassador chat channel will be the best way of pushing the final time and location. And of course, by all means, outside of the meetings, feel free to keep on discussing whatever you feel like in relation to the ambassador program.